Hello, William. I can't hear you.
I might just need to refresh
There you go.
my.
You're on. You're on. I
Okay.
can hear you
Uh,
now.
okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
What?
I just needed to refresh my headset.
That's all right. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good.
Oh, excellent. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
uh,
So, I've got a lot of different, like a full category of different questions and stuff like that. I don't know if we should chat a little bit about an area to go into, but I can tell you the different areas that I was thinking of for the conversation, and then you can tell me
excellent.
what's there for you and what would be interesting for you as well.
Oh, I'm open and willing to discuss just about any topic. So
Okay,
uh,
so
yeah.
let me give you all the different things that have been like in my awareness in a sense over the last little while. So the one that's been coming up for me more and more is like is kind of like the changes that need to be made in the business world. So like if you had to have a message for if you had to sit in front of a group of business leaders, what would the message be for
Uh-huh.
them in
Uh-huh.
terms of the changes that are needed? What are they? Like how do we put them out? How do we say this
Uh,
and this and this is what is coming?
yeah, yeah. So I actually get to work fairly closely with a ex-investment banker who has had quite the lifestyle change since a while back, but he's in retirement now, and he sees very clearly the role that new paradigm business methods can play, and that this is a critical area. He is working very progressively towards implementing an entire, let's say, um, description of new paradigm business practices.
Okay.
Now, so certainly something that I'm involved with as well. But it really comes down to uh, the individual. So uh, the individual working in a business, working in a business atmosphere, environment, um, it is upon them to act with integrity. Now, people will always think they're acting within integrity. There's very um, small instances where an individual will knowingly be behaving and acting uh, uh, with little to no integrity. Uh, these individuals are problematic in and of themselves, but they occur in many different instances, not just within businesses. It can be within teaching, within science, within government, across the board, really. Now that's a deeper issue. Uh, but in general, the vast majority of people, any business, any corporation is just people. Uh, the vast majority of people believe that they are acting within integrity, uh, the problem is, what is the value system that is underlying this paradigm? And this is where, to me, it's very simple. The value system underlying the business mentality is the accumulation of wealth for the sake of the accumulation of wealth. What is the objective? What is the goal? It is wealth accumulation. That's it. Now, uh, in um, some instances, you do have people who are honestly driven by providing new technologies, new and innovative products that they feel are going to improve others' lives, other people's life, etc. And that's fantastic. But it's, I mean, generally speaking, not out of place at all, uh, or inaccurate to say that the driving mechanism of business practice is wealth accumulation. And so, if a person is going to act in integrity within a business, their actions are all going to be to maximize profitability, increase the wealth accumulation of the company. What consequences does that have? Exploitation, exploitation of labor, exploitation of resources, which leads to social stratification, ecological destruction, and loss of biodiversity, and hence general survivability of living things on the planet. This is not a value system at all. This is the opposite of a true value system. This is not acting in integrity. Um, this mentality has been divorced from reality, and the reality is that um, Earth is a tightly knit, interconnected biosphere, and disrupting that biosphere has drastic consequences. You know, so uh, the solution, in my eyes, is a revolution of values, kind of a radical revolution of values. We need to reassess our value system, our cultural and societal value system. Um, actually, I really just quoted Dr. Martin Luther King in one of his last speeches that he gave. Um, it was actually an anti-war speech. It's one of the most moving, one of the most powerful speeches I've ever heard. Uh, but he was calling for a radical revolution of values, uh, a society and a culture that's value system um, is a true value system that is no longer tied to war, exploitation of people, and exploitation of natural resources. Um, but it really is the solution, I feel. Um, and so, how do we go about that? It's the promotion of awareness, because the way that our civilization or our culture or society is established uh, is through maintaining what it sees as value systems. That's its imperative. And so one of the ways that that is done is by an inculcation or indoctrination of the people comprising a society that their societal model is the paragon, is the most just, the most perfect model, and any deviation from that is bad, and it will result in catastrophic consequences. So you see that with democracy and capitalism. You know, it is presented as the pinnacle of human civilization, that is the greatest thing we can aspire to, is democracy and capitalism. Now, if you look at the dynamics of this, though, uh, the way that the system largely perpetuates itself is that you have extreme social inequity, extreme social stratification, so that you have a very small elite group, the business class, that runs things uh, under the veil of a so-called democracy. It's really a plutocracy, uh, um, corporate fascist state, but ruled by the elite, ruled by the wealthy. In a democratic capitalist society, the dollar, or the currency at a global scale, right? The rand, uh, that is what determines policy. Uh, Now, so you have a very small group of elite business class who, with their resources, do all they can to promote and idealize the concept of capitalism and democracy through fear, through instilling fear and mistruths, uh, and basically outright attacks against other ideologies, other systems, to demonize them, etc. Now, the working class, in large part, are kept at such a menial level so that they don't have the resources and power to act in their best interest. So there's more than enough wealth for everybody on the planet to live extraordinarily well. You know, I mean, there's, if you get to the top 0.1% of the wealth holders in the world, there's people that have the wealth of entire countries, entire nations. Uh, Now, you don't give that to the people because then they can act in their best interest, and you don't want that because of reasons of fear, control, agendas. Um, Even the top, 1% have ideas or philosophies that are they're victims of to a large degree as well. That would make them perpetuate such inequity. So we are largely, um, generally speaking, divested from the uh, process of social change, of having our voices heard. It's largely by design. Um, from the miseducation that occurs early on during state-sponsored schools. Uh, if you look at state-sponsored schools, it's just atrocious how blatantly inept they are at education. It's by design. It's not an accident. The wealthy business class do not want people educated. Uh, Only enough so that they can perform menial tasks, or be inculcated and indoctrinated with the worldview lens that they want them to have. Uh, but there's no reason why uh, a, a public teacher couldn't be paid extremely well and have a position that is very prestigious. The person who is teaching the youth, teaching our fellow civilians. So um, it's it's a system that it is very corrupt. It's a corrupt system, uh, and it's tightly linked with the business. It's business. It's all business as usual. So
So, I mean, how does it? What is? It seems like there's more and more and more and more people that are just giving up. That's how it feels to me. Like just giving up. They just like have had enough. They don't know where to go. They don't want to be a part of the system anymore. They don't have money coming in because of that. So I don't know. What do you think that we can do it as just the people of Earth kind of thing, or do you think there's going to have to be some intervention or more
uh,
intervention? Because I know there's already been like masses of intervention, but like
it has to be through us, uh, because we have the power to change. That's a fact. And so, if there's any intervention from an outside source, uh, it's actually a disempowering thing. An intervention from an outside source will be saying to us that you don't have the power within you to make this change. That's not what we want. We want to know that we have this power. Uh, we are creating this reality, each and every one of us. Create it the way you want. The power is there. Absolutely. Now, the giving up and just withdrawing from the system, uh, in my view, is what many of these elite echelon society want. Absolutely. You to acknowledge that no, okay, you have the power. I am disempowered. There's nothing I can do. Um, Now, it's difficult for me to say that because I know certainly how hard it is. There's countless traps, in this system there's countless traps just even within the material world. Um, and it's almost all set up to um, really test you on finding that inner power, overcoming um, materialism, uh, and kind of going through the fire of the forge, with that heat and that pressure, and going from a if I can be a little bit metaphorical, going from that unfashioned uh, metal, into a fine, strong, high integrity um, device. uh, you know, so it's a process that is not the easiest thing. It takes a strong spirit to do that, and so all of us who have come here are strong spirits. Uh, uh, and after this experience, even stronger spirits. It's a very, very high-end wisdom class here. We're all getting PhDs, um, a master's class. Uh, but on just withdrawing from the system, uh, it's problematic because that is rooted in what I feel, and in my perspective, negative beliefs. It's you know even more simply the negative belief that I don't have the power to make a difference. That the universe isn't that my world isn't a beautiful synchronistic machine, and that when I'm functioning as an integral unit of that machine, things work. They come together. Now, unfortunately, or as part of this learning process, this school, we haven't been given the worker's manual, the owner's manual, on how to be an integral part of this machine. Uh, Another viewpoint of it is comes from physics, the idea of entropy. Uh, Within mechanistic Newtonian physics, you have a closed system, a box that's cut off from the rest of the world, and it will go from order to disorder. And that's called entropy. It raises an entropy. Now, what this fails to recognize is that in a true system, there will be innovative elements in that system that reverse this increase in entropy, this move towards disorder. Innovative elements that are integrative, that bring things back together and crystallize the structure. Uh, uh, we are those, the people can be those innovative elements. We are those innovative elements. Um, and the owner's guide, the worker's manual to this machine is pretty simple. It's to be you, be who you are to the fullest you can. Uh, uh, be the truest expression of who you are. That's all you have to do in life. That's the worker's guide, the owner's manual. Um, and then what happens is you become that element of the machine that is functioning as it was meant to, and it works in beautiful, synchronistic, seemingly deterministic lockstep. Um, and so, uh, if I can get just a little bit refocused, I'll summarize the point. It's just that um, through the system, uh, you can, we can make change. That's my view on it. Is that um, all of the elements are there to allow us to make the change. So, you know, I was saying previously that so this plutocracy is ran under the guise of a democracy, right? So it's supposed to be ruled by the people for the people. Now, a lot of us are waking up to realize that's not what's happening in practice. In fact, the people have been divorced from any meaningful political process or policy making agenda. You know, when we want uh, clean air, clean water, we want ecological preservation, we want the safeguarding of biodiversity, the respect of all life and species. Uh, when we voice this, we're not seeing results. We're seeing, in fact, suppression and oppression. Um, because the business class want to do business as usual, which is the exploitation of people and resources of the planet, which is a suicidal agenda. We need to save the business elite from themselves because it's a self-destructive path. They might be able to subjugate and get rid of a lot of us, but uh, in the end, they're going to go down too. It's a suicidal path. Uh, but so we still have the guise of a democracy. Now, uh, it's actually excellent for the plutocracy, the business elite, for us to say, oh no, we don't have any power. It's perfect for them. If we do just completely disassociate from the process, then it's one less worry for them. They don't even have to keep up the guys so much anymore. And just walk right all over us, you know? Uh, Play the game, you know? Um,
So into the system, basically, go back in. For some of those, I mean, there's many people that have just like, they've largely dropped out. I think that's been a result of like a feeling of, it's better to just give up because that system is going nowhere. And if we don't give up, we're going to die the suicide of that system. But then it's like how to access that new paradigm information. And that's another question, and I think we're talking about it, but what is this new paradigm in terms of the technology, the technology of consciousness, the understanding that we're driving our reality, and are we, this is like there seems to be so many, the revolution of consciousness essentially, and understanding it to be an integral part of reality as the backdrop, um, seems to be the paradigm shift, right? I mean, that seems
yeah.
to be the paradigm shift from third dimension to fifth dimension. And in a sense, that would be a good question. Let's see. What does it say? The
The
self.
self-actualizing cosmos.
Oh, wow.
Uh, uh,
What is that about?
So the new paradigm that you were just discussing, um, the Akasha revolution in science and human consciousness. Um, but the new paradigm that consciousness is really fundamental. We just begun working with
That
this guy
sounds exciting. Even Laszlo.
Irvin Laszlo. We just sent him our new manuscript. Um, I think it might have been presented at the Club of Budapest annual meeting, and we may be working with him and contributing to his work some here. Um, but yeah, you were asking what
So,
is the new
yeah,
paradigm?
what like
The
if you
the,
could
the
explain to
ti-
people the fifth dimension. What welcome to the
uh-huh,
fifth dimension, right? What is this?
uh-huh, yeah. So really simply, the new paradigm is realizing that you're not a being in an environment experiencing that environment. Uh, you are a being inside your consciousness, and you are the environment. You are experiencing yourself through an individual experience. That is the paradigm shift. So we have the concept of like lucid dreaming, where all of a sudden you can wake up, realize I'm in a dream. What does that mean? You wake up and you realize I'm in my consciousness. The things I'm interacting with are within me. These are extensions of me. This is just my consciousness. If that's so, I can I can create whatever circumstance I want around me. Uh, in the fourth dimension, for density, this becomes much easier to do.
Now, sorry,
Uh,
I would love to ask you this question because there's so
uh,
many terms that are going out. For me, the
uh,
fourth dimension is time. I thought the fourth dimension is time, and the fifth dimension is
uh,
unfolding
uh,
time and space, understanding.
uh. So see that's why I tried to use the terminology of fourth density.
Okay, so what is the
Yeah,
difference?
because from a purely technical scientific discourse within the scientific parlance and lexicon, a dimension is a spatial extension. You have three spatial dimensions, and then in a sense you have a temporal dimension, a dimension of time, so that there's four dimensions. Uh, and in some physics, you have more than just four dimensions. You can have a fifth spatial dimension, a sixth spatial dimension, hyperspace,
Hmm.
etc. Um, now, with looser terminology, not so technical, I still consider the use of dimension to mean world. So, like another dimension can be another parallel world. It may or may not have three spatial dimensions. I've been in dimensions, other worlds that only have two spatial dimensions, and things are flat.
Flatland.
Everything flatland. Now there's another dimension with two spatial dimensions, a 3D world. A third dimension of time. Yeah, I was experiencing time, um, but that gets confusing if you don't know if the disclaimer hasn't been used. Now, density works well though. Uh, for me, there's infinite number of dimensions, which is to say there's infinite number of parallel realities. Um, there's infinite spatial dimensions. Uh, many of them don't, we can't physically comprehend what it would be like to be in them. There's no physical analog coming from a three-dimensional 4D space-time, a physical concept of awareness. Um, but density works well because there you're talking more about energy density. Now, um, I think that what we call the temporal domain, the temporal dimension, or what we experience as time, is closely linked actually with spatial expansion, the accelerating expansion of space, so that actually things become less dense, things become more space-like.
Mhm.
Um, there's more room to move around in time, more fluidity to space and time as things become less dense.
So, William, what is what? How do you do that? What is the technology of moving in space and time, or in space time? What does that mean?
So we have an amazingly powerful and inept intrinsic technology for moving through space-time. Uh, that's the methodology that was employed by the ancients to explore the universe. Our ancient astronauts, uh, they we would call mystics and shamans. Um, they were exploring the universe and the nature of reality in a way that our scientists could only dream of doing. And this is one of the reasons why we see pretty amazing technological understanding of very ancient civilizations. They understood the basis of reality. They explored it, um, which is what we're getting back to it through a different means, or more of a materialistic, scientific, technological means. But your intrinsic technology is very amazing at being able to explore space and time. Now,
Can I just
um,
interrupt you? I know you're probably in the middle
uh,
of a stream, but so
uh,
would you say that space and time is the consequence of consciousness?
uh, yeah, yeah,
So one point
uh,
in space time and another point in space and time is just different coordinates, different sets of information.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, uh, you know, our concept of space and time is like an absolute frame is completely erroneous. Even, uh, we think that there's a very absolute frame there of space and time, uh, but it's an illusion. But it's largely because of celestial mechanics. Actually, we're on this solid Earth that has a very very precise cyclical periodic spiral around the sun and such. But really, if you start to go beyond that, concept of up and down, left and right, location, it actually makes no real sense. Um, you know, all, for instance, right now, our Earth could have just rematerialized on the other side of the universe. We'd have no idea. It could be at any location in the universe. We'd have no idea. What is space and time? Uh, these are very, very um, derived things that we're experiencing. Uh, what's the basis underneath that is consciousness or information. Now, at the same time, though, uh, space and time do have a valid reality unto themselves. Uh, it's undoubted that they inform consciousness. So, it's not two separate things. It's actually one and the same thing. Now, and you can conceptualize it as two different things, but there's a feedback process occurring where consciousness and information feed into space and time and give it its properties, inform it how to unfold, how to evolve, how to change, as synchronicity. And then it feeds back into consciousness. So all of our experiences in this space-time matrix are feeding into consciousness and shaping consciousness. So you don't have one without the other. Um, we tend to think in hierarchical fashion in terms of hierarchy. So okay, so we have consciousness as the bedrock, and then space, and then time, and then matter, and that's our hierarchy. But really, it's kind of all together. It's non-linear. It's a holistic thing. Um, now, certainly though. Um, uh, because you can experience consciousness without space and time, it has the appearance of being more fundamental, whereas you can't experience space and time without consciousness. So there is a slight justification for a hierarchy, but really, it's much more holistic. Uh, there's just no aspect of creation, no aspect of existence that is superfluous, that doesn't play a vital role in being all that is. Um, yeah, so, uh, and there's, in a way, the link, the unification between spirit and science. Science can help to explain the space and time aspect. Consciousness, spirituality helps to explain the consciousness aspect, and both of them together, you have a holistic explanation. You can develop a spiritual science, um, and then so with the development of a spiritual technology, a spiritual science, you can begin to explore space and time in a much more malleable fashion, much more fluid and fashion. Uh, Things certainly become a lot more fun at that time. It's like, yeah, so I really think that that is humanity's destiny. That is our design, uh, somewhat of our purpose is to become voyagers or explorers of space. Um, Now, uh, when you come to understand the science of space, that's a very, very powerful thing, because space is the one thing that connects all things. It's the quintessence, the ether. Uh, it is the one unifying fabric of all material things. So um, becoming explorers of space, masters of space, will be a very interesting development, I think. Yeah.
It's very exciting, and I think, I mean, I just want to ask a couple more questions because there seems to be, along with this kind of paradigm shift, there seems to be so many different languages and technologies and ideas to wrap our heads around in a way. And what I've found is it's like I will sort of go in one direction, and part of my training and study has been around understanding the nature of reality and the kind of consciousness is primary, and that we can shift our reality based on what it is that we choose to focus on or perceive or concentrate on, etc. That it's our awareness that is shifting the nature of reality basically for us, and that's a part of the, I suppose, the initiation into that fifth dimension. Um, but then you get, and I'm sure it's not like a polarity, but it seems to be. It's like people saying, okay, well, perhaps if you focused on pure awareness, then there is no time and space, and there is no self, and what's the point of doing anything?
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
like, and so where do these two sit? It's like, is the one the masculine, the driver, the aspect of creation that says, okay, create, and the other is the passive, kind of maybe perhaps like the feminine aspect of creation that says it all is, and it's all existence, it's all in existence, and you just need to come out of the self and, like, go back to the void and live there. So I want to know, how does creating reality, having a will, having a soul as a seemingly separate entity, and being a one with existence, how does it all fit together?
Very simply, balance, temperance. So you come from a state of timelessness, of pure being, of oneness. Um, Now, uh, in a sense, you didn't come into physical incarnation and a space-time experience uh, to um, neglect that and get back to oneness. Maybe some individuals did, but uh, really, what would be the point in doing that? Uh, Really, what's more evolutionary, what's more powerful and more exciting, fun, and um, rich for the soul, even, uh, is to experience a new state, a state that you can't get at those higher levels. So you come into material reality, and you know you experience the material world, uh, and we're I think what we're learning at this time is uh, how to find the balance between the two. So you came here to experience the material world, to do what you came here to do.
Compression.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Now, knowing that there's a higher state, a source state, uh, doesn't mean that you just completely let go and turn your back on material world and try to get back there. You'll make it back there. That's your source. Really, what is more empowering to you as a being is to learn uh, to actually establish a balance between the two, where you're functioning in the material world, eating, drinking, working, doing, interacting with people in a society, building a better society, a better world, and at the same time, you're connected with a world that is timeless, where there's no spatial division, no dichotomy, uh, and you're bridging the two. That incidentally is ascension. It's how you experience becoming less dense, moving into higher dimension, higher density. Um, but uh, another aspect of it, though, even beyond that, is that what we're describing is a very, very dualistic perspective. Especially how I've been describing it, that there's the higher timeless realm, and then way down here there's this low primordial materialistic realm. That's not really how it is. It's one thing.
Mm.
The timeless realm is occurring right now. You can tune into it in an instant. You can be there. It's right here and right now. You're experiencing this world from it. Uh, so it's one of the largest fallacies that have been promoted by the spiritual philosophy, spiritual religious philosophy, and even metaphysics. It's one of the most erroneous things is that there's something non-spiritual about material reality. Nothing could be further from the truth. Uh, some of the most spiritual experiences you can have can be working at your job, can be taking care of your kids, going on a trip with your family, doing very material things, can be extremely spiritual, extremely expansive and connective experiences. Um, the Buddhists, the Zen masters, have a saying that you must chop the wood and carry the water. To me, that's one of the most profound and wisest uh, things of spiritual advice that you can get is that um, that the exercise of taking care of your physical body, taking care of your material needs, tending to earthly matters can be some of the most spiritual practices that you can engage in um, especially if it's done in the moment with presence, with connection. It's absolutely amazing. For myself, because when I first started my spiritual practices, I was kind of programmed with the same idea that, okay, what I need to do is separate from material reality, get alone in a room, and meditate and do yoga, and quit eating and drinking and doing all this material stuff. Uh, and certainly, after 3 or 4 years of doing that, it was pretty powerful, certainly. Um, but I very quickly actually got to the point where I learned that that's not exactly the agenda here. Uh, the, the the agenda is to balance that with living a material life, because in a way, that's also can be considered somewhat selfish, because I'm thinking me, me, me. I'm going to improve me. I'm going to get myself to oneness, etc. Uh, actually, maybe I should be thinking about other people. Maybe I should be out doing things to improve other people's lives. Maybe I should chop some wood and carry water for other people. They might be suffering, and I could help ease that. I can help make this world a better place. So, instead of disappearing back into the void, I could be here making a difference, which would be, I think, a very spiritually fulfilling and a great thing and fun thing to do. To
So, William, do you think that like an awakening, an awakened, a master or a state of enlightenment is would it not be the awareness of the void? In other words, all things or all awareness available to us, but still having this physical embodiment, but that you're not experiencing necessarily the separation at all. I mean, is that possible? Is that or is that like a category error that you can't actually be in the void and have any physical experience whatsoever?
um, well, no, you can certainly um, be coming from that timeless domain, having a physical experience. The uh, problem, so to speak, with it is that you won't be very relatable. You would seem perhaps extremely strange. That might be a reason why uh, uh, many masters, so to speak, actually oftentimes don't have the best experiences with people, right? Why they might actually oftentimes end up getting into trouble even. Um, is because for one thing, you're so far uh, removed from the consensus human experience that you might invoke fear and unease in a lot of people. Uh, they're not ready to integrate and accept the reflection that you're giving them. You're giving them this reflection like, look, it's all one. We're timeless, eternal beings. There's a lot of people that, that reflection is uh, becomes a matter of life and death to them.
Mm.
They will react very very strongly against it. And actually, incidentally, that's one of the reasons why many of us can have a seemingly arduous or difficult time achieving enlightenment or enlightened states. You never actually achieve enlightenment. It's a never-ending process. As an infinite being, there's a lot of you to explore. But there certainly are degrees of enlightenment. You can come to states where all of a sudden you feel like, wow, I just woke up and I've been asleep all my life. Now all of a sudden I just woke up. This is who I really am. I've achieved enlightenment. I understand who and what I am now. This is amazing. But then probably after a little bit of time, you'll wake up again to a higher level of yourself. But one of the reasons that we have difficulty doing that is because part of, you can think of it as the agreement, part of the physics and the energetic dynamics is that we're moving in mass together collectively. So not only is it kind of energetically or physically difficult for one of us to jump ahead. Now, of course, when we do that, it kind of helps to move the rest along. But if you go too far, you're not helping the rest move. And I think that, again, the reason why we came down, so to speak, to have this experience is to do it together, to move together. That's part and parcel of the experience. And so for a lot of us, uh, it does. It can even be a little bit frustrating because we're waiting. We're waiting for the rest of the slow herd to, get up. And it's great. They're having experiences that are befitting them. So some of it's not so great. A lot of it's not so great. But together, slowly but surely, we're moving in mass. Now, so some of us might even do self-sabotaging things, things that will diminish our energy. And actually, we do it so that we can be more relatable to other people. Now, there's a certain degree of that that makes sense, but a certain degree that having awareness of that is like, okay, well, actually, I'm not entirely serving other people by, you know, not being fully who I am. There's a certain degree to which you've got to be strong and firm. Be like, well, no, actually, this is who I am, and I understand that it might be threatening to you, or you can't relate to it, but I'm not going to compromise and diminish my energy to be relatable. I'm not going to, buy into negative beliefs that are endemic so that I can fit in, Uh, yeah, so it's balance, it's temperance, certainly. Uh,
So if you were holding the container for, I'm just going to go back to business and then we can kind of wrap it up around that topic. But the container for business to shift. I mean, I think that there would be one temptation, and that's that technology is already shifting in that direction. And if they don't make the adjustment, they're going to be left behind. So that could be one leverage point, right? Like, I mean, the technology that's coming in is all interdimensional, multidimensional, consciousness driven technology. Would that be accurate to say? And that the initiation of waking up to that is really the forefront of business, would you say?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, um, technology it can be a bit of a double-edged sword. Uh, so it's certainly how you use it, how you intend to use it. Um,
Hmm.
Now, to a very high degree, I see that the development of technologies based on a spiritual science will be an extremely impactful event because, in my mind, it will be a manifest demonstration of the oneness, of the interconnectedness, of the foundational aspect of information and consciousness. Uh, so if you have a working example of that, how can it be refuted? Now, unfortunately, to a certain degree, it can. uh, so while the technologies that are being developed, that are on the horizon, and that we're coming out with right now, will be integral in this transformation, and especially in revolutionizing business and socio-political economic models, because once a lot of that resource scarcity is shown to be defunct, and once there is abundant, ubiquitous, clean energy, communication technologies, and transportation technologies. That's revolutionary. It's going to be very difficult to maintain fear-based paradigms, exploitation, and war um, with those kind of technologies. But at the same time, I think that what is vitally needed is the philosophical underpinnings of that technology, an awareness of those philosophical precepts, the value system, because a lot of these technologies are amazingly powerful. And so with the wrong kind, or with a certain kind of mentality, there can come with it a hubris that look at the power we have over nature. Look at how much better we are than nature, and how much we've rised above nature. And that hubris is a potential downfall of humanity. So, um, uh, maintaining the connection with nature and maintaining the connection with the inner self, the emotional body, is vital. And that comes through
Okay.
the value system and the philosophical worldview, connected worldview, so that the technology is linked with the ideology. Um, yeah, yeah. Mm.
Hmm.
It seems like there was one other aspect about that that had come to mind. Yeah.
So there's a few questions about. I was quite interested in. So I mean, I'm really so interested in the idea of obviously the nature of reality as consciousness and awareness coming through perception, right? So, and I don't even, I mean, I think we did have that conversation before, but it's just such a fascinating one because it is a technology. It's something that people can learn the technology of consciousness and how to move in time and space, and us as the observer. And what does that mean? And how do we use our use this space, this UFO that we're in, and that people even have an understanding of states, and that's how we can shift in states, drive our energy, that we're all of it. Yeah, so I just want to ask you about your practice, your personal practice, because you said before how you have been able to access a state, a kind of super conscious state in a way where you're able to look over lives, like you're able to see things simultaneously. And I'm just interested in how you access that state. Do you go into meditation with an intention to be looking down, sort of in a sense, or how do you do that?
um, well, now, to experience that particular state in my practice, it has been by clearing and opening the chakras, uh, going into the third eye. So the third eye becomes a literal portal, and you can open it, go into this space, and from this space, uh, all of your concurrent incarnational experiences are being shared simultaneously. Um, Now, that takes quite a bit of practice to experience that kind of space. For myself, it did. Um, Now, there's myriad different ways that you can go about doing that, being able to access that particular state. Um, hmm. I guess if I were to suggest to somebody how they could experience it, you know, if you can research and look into practices that open the third eye, um, practices of accessing information through the space of the third eye, uh, it becomes very potent. Now, uh, I kind of felt that I had a certain proclivity towards this. It seemed to come very natural and very easily for me. I think that it was part of my agreement. I said, okay, I'll go down there if you keep this channel open for me, because otherwise I'm going to lose it. you know, I'm going to need a little bit of help. So I might have actually been a little bit weaker than some of the other souls. I wanted to bring the crutch with me, you know. Now, uh, I do know though of one method in particular uh, that is pretty universal. They will work for everybody, and that is pretty foolproof, so to speak. Um, and it's the practice of being you. So um, actually uh, having an awareness of what it is that you're wanting to do, and doing that. Uh, Now, that requires a pretty extensive evaluation of your value system, of your beliefs, etc. Because one of the quickest things that pops to mind is like, well, oh, I really feel like I want to party. I want to get blasted. I want to drink and smoke and not go to work. Any of that. Uh, you're saying I should just do that then every moment of my life. Uh, you know, actually, uh, if you get through all the layers of bullshit and you get down actually to kind of your core self, you'll find that uh, a lot of those actions are being done based on negative beliefs. Uh, um, they're being done out of integrity. Anything from a victimhood mentality, disempowerment, fear, those kind of emotional states. Uh, Really, when people are most invigorated, most centered and excited, is I'm gonna do something that I love, something that I'm passionate about. I'm gonna make music. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna start an organization. I'm gonna start a political movement. That's what gets you excited. Now, acting on those things is a very transformative process. So this is again where uh, the balance, the extreme spiritual aspect of material reality, of doing mundane material things, material actions, becomes very key, um, because this puts you into alignment with the amazing synchronistic machine. Occurrences come into your life uh, that allow you to experience things like the fluid nature of time and space, experience multiple incarnations. The practices that I was doing, uh, you know, which required many hours of solitude, uh, many hours of meditation, fasting, chi energy cultivation, yoga. Uh, these things don't work for a lot of people. It's just not in alignment with who they are. Now, doing these things that, acting on who you are, following that thread, that thread that's leading you to your true self, will bring you to practices that do work for you. It'll bring you to practices that uh, will bring you into those states that you're looking for, will bring you into those states that are relevant to what you're seeking to uh, come to understand about yourself. Um, so I think that is one of the most important things.
So, William, when you're doing your practice like that, and
uh,
you are overviewing in a way that, I don't know, duality, I suppose, experience of separation. Are you looking how what are you getting out of it? What are you doing as you view these many incarnations? Are you just looking at them? Are you looking to see if there's change needed? Are you looking for what are you doing? What is the
um, it's going to be what is most relevant for the experience that I'm having, because that's what I'm actually seeking. Even if uh, that's not in my conceptual awareness, I've come to find that that's what I'm really seeking when I go into those states, into that state in particular. Um, and so uh, the experiences that are being had by the multiple incarnations offer great insight and perspective on what I'm experiencing right now. So, oftentimes, if I'm being faced with a very difficult challenge, I'll find myself in that state, um, even almost spontaneously. And, the state is kind of like a nexus, a hub, where all this information is coming through. Now, as you can imagine, there's tons and tons and tons of information. So, uh, what is it that's going to come through to my physical awareness? It's going to be an extremely limited amount, and what's going to come through is what's going to be most relevant, what my heart is seeking. Now it is very cool and fun because I do get to glimpse things that these other incarnations are doing. Um, and that's cool. That's fun. It's been tremendously fulfilling uh, to know that this larger aspect of myself uh, is having myriad exciting experiences, and in that state you can see how it's all interconnected, how the events in your life are interconnected with events in other worlds that you would never think are related, but they are. And actually, these other incarnations, you can see how that thread of who you are runs through all of them. That um, that core self, and that's what you're looking for. Uh, that your core self, your true self, that thread of who you are. So each incarnation is a very different person in a lot of respects. They've had experiences you've never had. They're a different person, but at the center, at the core, there's that thread that's you, and that's that communication channel that you're accessing. And you can see how you are experiencing some of these far-flung worlds and etc. Um, so uh, it's a very interesting state, certainly.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's
Uh,
beautiful because it's a nice visual to hold, like how to
uh,
be present in awareness with multiple simultaneous lives and how to open up our, I suppose, awareness to what is it that we're not perceiving that could be nurturing and nourishing and like reassuring and all sorts of things right now.
Now, and if you think about it, each and every one of us have this experience, can experience this. We do experience this. Uh, you think about the history of your life. Each one of those moments is a unique person. It's a person that's very different than who you are right now. Now, sitting here now can experience this as a landscape, and you can look back and you can see, the history of all those different selves simultaneously. And you can see that thread of you, your core self, running through all of them. And that thread, it connects to you, and you can still feel that inner self that was there in each one of those people who were in many cases very different, than who you are. Even the person yesterday can be very different than who you are now. You know, uh, uh, it's the same exact thing. It's just that in that other space, it's people who are really far removed from your particular timeline. Um, that you don't have an actual physical memory of being. Uh, um, and then, but then, I mean, the parallels don't stop. I mean, you have all those experiences that are informing what you're experiencing now, and you can see the relevance of all these other experiences of your history, and how that informs your present challenges, aspirations, etc. So, yeah. Uh,
Well, I've got one. Can I? Yeah, I know. I just want to ask a closing question. You can say whether you want to
I mean,
answer it or not, but it's tied
uh,
to the. I don't know if you've seen the movie Interstellar.
you know, it was part of our work requirement to go see it, and actually, I'm probably gonna get penalized because I didn't. you know,
Well, I
uh,
want to ask you. I want to ask you this question about because I know you and Nassim speak a lot about the vacuum and black hole and this kind of thing. So I think that it's like a breakthrough paradigm of thought for people. What is on the other side of a black hole? What is the technology of the vacuum, etc. And um, are we accessing it in our daily awareness? Can we use it and how?
so um, there's a lot of theory around what's inside a black hole. So it's a very, very hot area of debate. But within our unified physics model, it's a gate. It's a portal, a wormhole, so that um, uh, if the technology was available, you could use a black hole as a portal to travel. And we probably will someday do that. Uh, from my scientific understanding and experience, that's the way your consciousness uses your intrinsic technology. The third eye is a virtual black hole, a virtual singularity. You can cross the event horizon, go in
Okay.
there and travel to a nexus point beyond time, beyond space. You can access any information you want, any information you want.
So that's
That's your
like the
intrinsic.
observer effect, isn't it? It's kind of like the observer in the quantum field. It's like the
Well, now that's a little bit of a tricky subject. There's been quite a bit of misinformation about the observer effect. Uh, you know, this is very all this is very classical in a sense. Uh, you know, like you, your consciousness can just involute through this portal to access a higher domain. Um, what were you suggesting the observer effect in what context?
That we are, in a sense, we have a our 0 point, our excess of our kind of singularity in a way, like here, our observe that we have um, the ability to travel, like you're saying, through time and space with our consciousness, with our awareness,
Oh,
and that
oh, oh.
that observe that act of in a way I would call it the observer, but perhaps that's not the way that science is talking about it. But it's in a
Oh,
way we're navigating through our observation at that point.
okay. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, very, very much so. Yeah. I thought when you were mentioning the observer effect, I thought you were talking about like collapse of the wave function in quantum mechanics. Where like something isn't there until you see it, and then it collapses and it becomes real. Uh, just one of the aspects about that is that, well, consciousness is everywhere. It's not just in you. So what exactly would be your consciousness can be extended out of space, observing something even if you're not aware of it. But what you're referring to though, yeah, absolutely. Um,
So in a
but
way, you're not traveling. It's not you that's traveling. It's just that you're perceiving the eternal I that's
uh-huh,
everywhere.
uh-huh. Yes, since at a more fundamental level, there's no space and there's no time. There's no need to travel. If everything is in 0 point in a singularity, it's all right there,
And we're
here and
it.
now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, um, what was some of the other questions though you had about like a black hole in terms of
It's just, I suppose for me, it's just interesting to have the education around us being all of it, and that we so often perceive ourselves as a physical body that is just trapped in one place and
uh-huh,
unable
uh-huh,
to understand the nature of reality in a sense. And it's just interesting for me to think about when you talk about you building technology that travels with us through with the vacuum energy.
uh-huh,
Where
uh-huh,
is that in us? What is that in us? So and you started to talk about it. So
uh-huh,
the third
uh-huh.
eye, in a sense, is
Yeah, your body is the technological device to access that vacuum energy. I mean, you're sitting on the antenna. It comes up from your spine to the crown of your head. Uh, you can draw in that vacuum energy, can raise it up through your body. It's your body is uh, an extremely intrinsic, well-tuned device for accessing the field, interacting with the field, communicating with the field. Uh, an extremely sensitive and powerful device for doing so. Uh, it's taken an extreme amount of work to divorce us from that understanding. We've had to work really hard to make us feel as if we're in a suit that's disconnected from everything else. It's uh, y- you know, it's such a natural state of the body when a lot of the obscurations have been removed. Uh, I guess some channels do need to be cleared and opened, but yeah, yeah. And the technology that will interface with the vacuum, that will interact with the vacuum, can assist and facilitate with this. Um, devices that are structuring the vacuum. When you're in that field, they can potentially act as a harmonic resonance device to allow you to clear block channels and open up those communication channels within yourself. Just like being in the presence of a master or individual can do the same thing because they're a technological device doing it, right? So if you set up a harmonic resonance with them, it can facilitate your transformative process as well. So, the technologies will probably do that also.
So, William, a vacuum is basically anything. It's created through just a difference in consciousness, right? And so, a vacuum can be set up through placing your awareness on something that's just outside of you, and then that will
Well,
it'll create a vacuum energy, or
the quantum vacuum is everything. The quantum vacuum is ubiquitous and omnipresent. Uh, what you think of as matter is vacuum. Uh, um,
hmm,
it's like if you do the calculation for how much space is in an atom of your body, how much space is in the atom of any material substance, it's 99.9999996% space. Uh, Now there's a point 0.0000004% that is energy. Um, but really, all you're really saying there is that space has formed a boundary condition, an event horizon, a black hole, uh, out of space. So you have space, and space is informed through consciousness, through information and energy, come together and form like a boundary condition, so that two boundary conditions of space all of a sudden think there's something there. But it's just vacuum. Um, now, vacuum is a misnomer. It's a historical term because up until actually, there was this transitory period where in the 19th century you had the concept of the luminiferous ether. So all space was pervaded by a substance, the luminiferous ether, light. It was the medium through which light propagated. It was light, standing light waves. Now, for some reason, physicists decided this was disproven. It never was. And in fact, adopting the idea of a true vacuum, of absolute empty space, is a ontological farce. It's like like they between stuff, there's nothing, literally nothing. Like, yeah, that's illogical,
okay,
you know. Uh, um, but so from about there was a good spell from about in the early 20th century where there was the concept of a vacuum, which would be true empty space with nothing in it. Well, now around the 30s and 40s of the 20th century, uh, you had the emergence of quantum field theory, which was taking quantum mechanics and applying it into in a relativistic way as a field. Now, when you take quantum mechanics and apply it as a field, so that you get quantum fields, if you investigate a vacuum, you find that a true vacuum has a infinite energy density.
Okay.
Uh, so it goes from being completely empty to being completely infinitely full of mass and energy. That was the outcome of quantum field theory, of quantum mechanics. Uh, Now, this was difficult to dismiss because it has actual physical applications. There's something called the Lamb shift, where the electron around the proton and hydrogen actually has a slightly elevated energy orbital level because it's interacting with the quantum vacuum. And quantum vacuum has substance. And then there's other experimental uh, uh, um, exemplifications of the quantum vacuum. But so now we've come back to the ether, that actually everything is a standing wave light pattern. Um, there's certain areas where the standing wave light intersects itself more, and we call that matter, material stuff. But it's space, it's energy and light and information that is a little bit more dense, slightly, 0.00004% more dense than what we call space. But and so uh, you're made of the vacuum. You're made out of black holes. You're made out of wormholes and singularities. Everything is. So uh, um, the one true thing that's there is information and consciousness and the exchange of information and the relationship of information. Um, yeah.
Okay. So in a sense, I mean, it's a very big topic, but it's kind of like the fact that we're in this illusion between the void and seeming apparent reality, that and everything that sits in between is the quantum vacuum.
uh, mm, mm. Well, because I just say the void of material reality and everything in between is a quantum vacuum. Uh, you know, uh, it's just that it's all one. Uh, it's.
But what separates it? What separates it? Perception. I mean, information, perception.
Well, it's our perception that there's spaces that are void, and there are spaces that are material. Um, but uh, you know, the separation between the two. Uh, It might be a good topic for the next discussion. I think
It's a
I'll
big
start it.
one.
Yeah, I think it might be a good place to break.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's getting a little late here. I'm feeling
Starting to
I
get
might need
tired. It's a
to.
huge topic, and I so
Uh,
appreciate, you know, just the time that we've spent together. So
uh,
thank you
uh,
so much.
Oh
as
yeah. Oh,
always, for the opportunity to just be together and share
oh yeah.
this.
Mm,
So yeah, it's nice to unpack some of these concepts just
mm,
for for the benefit of whoever is in my community, and that we can
mm,
share a little bit of the resonance. So thank you
mm.
so much, William.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, thank you so much, Amanda. I just uh, gotta reflect that, it is such a great opportunity to get to be with you and to share, and I so appreciate um, the. The platform and the format to get to explore these ideas together, it's I'm very appreciative.
Yeah, and it's really exciting because the people that listen to it in the community, and then they start having discussions, and because you've got such a solid scientific background, it just
Uh,
it's like, oh, we can refer back to William Brown as the
uh,
gospel, the
uh,
gospel of
uh,
William.
because
So
at this point, I'm kind of like, if the scientists want to, the materialist guys, if they want to discuss the points with me, we can discuss it. It's like we'll have different viewpoints. Certainly, I embrace different viewpoints, but I'm not um, talking about, when it comes to the science, anyways. I'm not talking about any concepts that aren't coming from the consensus, you know, physics, and biology, and chemistry. It's like, if it's all solid science. Certainly we all disagree on points of it, but it's like, uh, yeah. I love science. I love it. It's my passion, and I want to use it as a medium to disinform. Which I think that a lot of scientists, that's what they pin on a new age spirituality, or a new age form. They pin that, oh, they're using science as a mechanism to disinform, but I would never knowingly use science in that way because I love science. Um, yeah, and that's untruth, and we don't want to be spreading erroneous ideas. But yeah, yeah. It might be time for me to get something to eat.
all right,
So
well,
that
lots of love to you and everybody
I,
there at
okay.
Resonance Institute from us here in South
Uh,
Africa, and we'll
uh,
see you again.
much love.
Much love.
Just
Bye.
from
Bye.
Hawaii to South
Bye.
Africa. Bye.